In an era where we're told that every second counts and that we should be maximizing every iota of time that we have available, it's harder and harder for video game developers to convince players to stick around to finish off their narratives. But some titles, well, they go above and beyond when it comes to secret or alternative endings. So from the comedic to canonical endings, let's take a look at some more times. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 more secret video game endings that took incredible effort to unlock. Number 8, The Delicate Flower, Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a bloody and brilliantly brutal game, and even getting to see one of its endings should be considered a true feat. However, for those looking to really push the boat out, attempting to see the Delicate Flower ending will take everything you can muster, and then some. In order to see this rather heartfelt closing section, the player must battle their way through all of the Pantheon, which is effectively an uber-hard boss rush mode, then defeat Absolute Radiance, which is basically like taking the most intense boss battles of the decade, distilling them, and then adding in bullet hell projectiles to the mix, and you must have given the Delicate Flower to the Godseeker. Now, the first 2 sections of this challenge will see 99% of the player base drop out in tears, but the final cherry on this cake, well, it's also absolutely brutal, as getting the flower to the Godseeker in one piece is ridiculous. Fast travel or take any damage getting there, and it will see the flower wither and die, so you need to be at the top of your game in order to see the ending of this one. That said, it is a hauntingly beautiful moment, which, if you've got the skill, is definitely worth hunting down. Number 7, Metro Last Light, Redemption Ending. In the irradiated and downtrodden world of the Metro series, survival by any means is front and center of your priorities. You will come across people doing whatever it takes to etch out a living, and sometimes you'll be faced with choices that would make a regular person's moral compass spin into oblivion. Shooting, stealing, and coercing becomes a natural part of the gameplay, and for a long old while it was assumed that there was only just one ending to Metro Last Light, until some players looking for a more wholesome experience discovered the redemption ending. And as it turns out, this ending is actually the canonical one as well, which means that players hopping from Last Light to the sequel without it were very confused indeed. In order to get this ending, you needed to make several moral choices that sometimes went against logic, such as removing your precious gas mask in a hostage situation, but it all ended up to an ending that rewarded the player for their kindness and humanity. It's just a shame that the game makes no indication of what choices are relevant, and that there are so many instances to go wrong. Number 6, Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, 100% ending. God, talk about a disappointing ending. I am still furious at the amount of time that I spent trying to unlock this hidden ending on the otherwise impeccable Jak and Daxter, The Precursor's Legacy, as it laid out that upon collecting 100 power cells and returning to this mystical door, that something incredible would be unveiled. So away we went, scouring every single corner of each level in search of the last few collectibles, and trust me, a few of them were absolutely infuriating to get, spending countless hours of our time eking closer and closer to this goal. And what happened when we finally presented this impressive haul? Well, the characters see the door open, get covered in light, react as if it is amazing, and then the game ends. Seriously, all that work was literally for nothing other than a confusing sequel tease that really didn't amount to anything even when the next game dropped. Definitely not worth your time, this one. Number 5, Payday 2, Offshore Payday. I honestly have no words to express how utterly complicated and convoluted the requirements are in order to unlock this hidden ending for Payday 2. And even the most simplistic guides that can be found online are huge reams of text or lengthy videos. It is such a bizarre maze to travel as well for a game that many would assume has just got a rather simplistic premise. After all, who would think that a title with a focus on bank heists would end up dealing with alien artifacts, Aztec gold, or mind or body control? Yet this is exactly what you must go through to get Payday 2's true ending. There's a fantastic Steam community guide that breaks down which levels you need to complete, which codes you need to input, and of course which specific motions you need to make in order to see the true ending, but let's just deal with what we're shown in the cutscene today because I don't have enough time to reveal everything else. So the gang celebrates on a remote tropical island, saying goodbye to some other members of their crew while commenting that they pulled off the greatest heist. On a TV nearby, the President of the United States secretly thanks the crew by using a few choice words, and the scene ends on a heartwarming note. And to be honest, after all that you've gone through to get this, I'm kind of glad that the devs chose to deliver a happy ending. Number 4, Ghosts and Goblins, the double playthrough. Nobody likes a bait and switch, especially when it comes in the form of a video game withholding its true ending from you. And at the end of the impressive and impressively challenging Ghosts and Goblins on the NES, you take on a podgy-looking Satan in order to rescue your Princess Fair. However, upon tasting the pointy end of your dagger, this Del Boy Devil will con you out of a victory and claim that in fact it was all an illusion and dump you right back to the start of the game. Now, you might think to yourself that there's no way that you'd want to slog back through this game again, but the more curious, or furious as the case may be, might stick it out and give the devil his due once more. If you do so using the Holy Shield pickup, you'll get a hilariously but altogether lackluster ending where Arthur is reunited with his love and the player is congratulated with some awfully translated dialogue. Going through this game once is more than enough of a challenge, but to be asked to do so twice and end the fight with an inferior weapon is something that only masochists should attempt, especially when the ending seems to have had pretty much the least amount of care possible put into it. Number 3, Guacamelee, the secret ending. Whereas most of the secret endings on this list were a ton of effort for some pretty mediocre payoff, the Guacamelee All Mask Orbs ending is truly both satisfying for the player and for Juan. In the regular ending, Lupita, the daughter of El Presidente and the love interest of Juan, dies, and he returns to his life as a farmer. But it's not completely sad because the pair are reunited in the afterlife, but for players looking to alter this, there is an option to change Lupita's fate in exchange for hours and hours of challenging platforming and puzzle solving. So mask orbs are scattered throughout this game, hidden in ridiculously hard to find areas and locked behind the sort of acrobatic challenges that you almost need precognition to solve. The quest to collect 6 orbs is something that only the best of the best will be able to complete, but their reward for doing so is brilliantly heartfelt. As Juan holds Lupita, his magical mask breaks apart, releasing enough energy to bring her back to life. The pair then return to the village and marry, settling down to a future of happiness. It's an incredibly demanding challenge, but it's an ending that really can't be missed. Number 2, The House of the Dead, Sophie Lives. The House of the Dead games are genuinely brilliant experiences, from their glory days in the arcade which saw them eat all of our coins in a manner similar to zombies feasting on tasty brain matter, all the way through to the excellent home console ports. Players the world over have been able to engage in a frenzy of light gun action for years, and things got even better with Typing of the Dead. But you know what, that's a tale for another list. Instead, let's focus on what might well be the shortest but most difficult ending to achieve in any of the franchise, which can be found in the original House of the Dead. It's a relatively simple sounding task of netting a high score on each level, but in practice can be ridiculously challenging, especially when you factor in the difficulty spikes that absolutely brutalize players as a means of raiding their wallets. However, if you can persevere and if your aim is true, you'll unlock a short scene that shows that Sophie, Thomas's fiancée, has actually survived the mansion and escapes unharmed, thanking the player as she does so. It's a much better situation than the regular ending, which sees her leave the mansion in a zombified state. Ouch. And number 1, Middleearth Shadow of War, Talion is Free. Shadow of War is a truly strange title when it comes to delivering its narrative beats. In place of a more traditional 3-act structure, Shadow of War introduced a kind of 4th act that was much longer than some of the other sections of the game and boiled down its otherwise brilliant gameplay into just a handful of repetitive missions. The title proposes that there's still a ton of work to be done upon defeating the great evils of the land, and tasks the player with completing fortress missions over and over until they've ranked them all the way up to the highest level. What makes this so arduous is that these missions, while still being pretty fun, are not easy, and messing them up can cause tons of time to be lost. This, coupled with the fact that you have to do them over and over again, means that many never actually saw the true ending. This ending sees Talion, after defending the land for years and years, finally succumb to the temptations of Sauron and join the Nine. It's a bit of a slap in the face to see him give in after we spent hours making sure that he doesn't, but such is the issue with prequel games, they all have to fall in line at some point. At least we see in death that he finally sheds his armor and ventures on into a peaceful and hopeful afterlife. And there we go, my friends, those were 8 more secret video game endings that took incredible effort to unlock. I hope you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as any other choices that you would have for a list of your own design. If you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice as my personal gaming channel, where I stream every single Wednesday and Sunday. But before I go, my friends, I just want to say one thing. There are a lot of secret endings in life that take incredible amounts of effort to unlock. be they in career, be they in love, be they in personal situations. But you know what, my friends? We should never be afraid of failure. We should always try 100% to be the best people that we possibly can be. But sometimes that can be very difficult. Sometimes our energies will be in the wrong place, or we will just be too fatigued to try again and again. So remember, you can ask for help if you need it. Friends, family, professionals in the support industry, these people care about you and want you to do well, so never be afraid to turn to them for guidance. Big love from me to you, you massive ledge. As always, I've been Jules. You have indeed been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.